grant.
I think that you would be delighted. Go and I'll help you write the grant to the Sonoma Foundation.
You know who else offered to help me write a grant, which is interesting. It's kind of a cross-media issue. Marianne McGee, who, between her and Terry in reporting along, I guess, and with Malcolm also reporting for the AVA, there's kind of, even though they're two different entities, the information really gets on the table with Mary Ann's write-up about the Mendocino Coast District Hospital meetings.
Yeah,
and they do a really good job. She offered in a message once that she could help me because she's used to do some professional grant writing.
This is a huge community service, and if you look at, there are a lot of for-profit, or I should say individual entities that qualify for grants because you're doing a community service. And this is coming out of your pocket, and that's not fair. So I think it would be interesting to write a grant application to the Sonoma County Foundation, the same format that you use for the Community Foundation of Mendocino County, and see what happens. I'll bet you get the grant.
It's interesting too, as a community service, I think I read this when I had you here with Paul McCarthy of MSP, and where the dogfight show.
The diatribe, yeah.
Yeah, so KNYO has a mission statement that you can look at. It says About Us. There's a tab on our page. So just to keep in continuity with that, because I've caught some heat for having some of my guests talking about subjects like we've talked about today. To establish and own and operate an educational, nonprofit, community-supported micro radio broadcast system. Done. That's established. Mission statement number 2, to encourage and provide micro radio facilities to promote and aid the creative skills and cultural welfare of the community.
Done.
Done. Number 3, to provide instruction and opportunities for the public to learn broadcasting skills, including audio production skills. Now, we don't get very many people coming in going, I'd like to learn radio, and I'd really like some of these Mendocino, like low-power student radio people, when they graduate, if they're stuck in the community, but still got that radio bug, come see us at KNYO, because we'd love to have you guys rap show, metal show, country show.
It's probably not going to be a place where
do.
people are vaping.
I'm not sure. Mission statement number 4, to distribute news and other public information affecting the community. Whether you like it or not, all the information we brought here affects the community,
Totally.
I think.
Look, this is the Community Foundation of Mendocino County.
That.
Yeah,
we also went on
$25 million over 8 years that is,
and our 10 minutes of going off on marijuana policy at council meetings, that was, anyway. It was an interesting meeting to go back and watch. I thought half the time I wanted to hear the Benny Hill theme in the back. Because I'm like, what? You guys don't have a clue. We don't know how many lights you can fit in an X. Well, go to YouTube and watch some videos. It's not that hard. Anyway, I have to keep complete client confidentiality, but I can give them some numbers for sure.
May you live in interesting times, and these are interesting times. The thing that bothered me, there was a thing on television the other night. It was, The Prophet. You ever watch The Prophet?
Well, I don't watch TV.
It's this guy who moves from business to business and helps business people redo their business. He actually invests money in their business and helps them redo their business.
Nice.
It's kind of like a makeover, extreme makeover for business, right? He goes to Humboldt County.
Okay.
And does this special on the marijuana business. Of course, he interviews a lot of people. He doesn't actually put any money in because he knows better.
They have the money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But
if they're doing it right.
He took a statement that I really took umbrage to from a law enforcement guy who said that, because he asked him, he said, well, what's the infrastructure like around here? What are these entities? And he didn't say nonprofit, but that's what he meant. What shape are they in? And the deputy or the sheriff, whatever he was, said, oh, they're in great shape. They get hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I just went, BS, because I know what's happening in Humboldt County. It's the same shape as Mendocino County. Every place in the Emerald Triangle is underwater, nonprofit-wise.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I should start, it's funny because you don't make money in small grows anyway. So if they're going to regulate around the city of Fort Bragg for residential, typically a 2-car garage, like if this studio room was removed, you fit about 12 lights in it, 72 to 90 plants, depending on how you make the cut. If you do it right, you could probably make some money. If you don't have an electric car, you're going to give a whole lot of money to PG&E. Anything less than that dozen lights in a double garage size, or if you have a greenhouse that takes up probably the whole backyard, because outdoor is a lower grade typically, it's kind of in the wash if you want to make some good money. The people that are professional will basically tell you, go big or go home.
Yeah.
You got to have strength in numbers.
Right.
If you're going to accept 1,000 or 1,900 a pound or something ridiculous, you got to have some big numbers.
In a soft
And that's
market,
not going to
you can't
happen.
really invest in something like that,
Yeah.
in infrastructure, even maintenance, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Because
Also,
the price is dropping.
I know that like in certain areas and communities, when you drive up, when you get within like a block or two of a school, you'll see like this entering a drug-free school zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really hear the council the other night talk about if you're going to open up these parcels, residential and issue permits for, residential, are you going to identify school zones and like zone the map around some of those community zones or not? I don't remember that language coming up, and that might be an important issue because what if I buy a house and I load the garage and put a greenhouse in it and I'm a stone's throw from Dana Gray?
I like the
But I'm
stone's throw
legal.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, stone's throw. Oh my gosh, the puns and the unheard puns or the puns. I can't tell you how many times, this meeting is dragging on. Whatever. There was so many puns in the city council meeting, whether they were caught or not. I was in stitches. I was laughing at it, doing my radio production out here in my pajamas, typing away, going, they're missing the point on this, they're missing the point on that. And I'd hear another pun, and I'm just in tears. I'm laughing at the language, and it's hilarious.
It really is.
Yeah. I have to thank, though, Mike Similino, he doesn't go by Chim, he's Sim.
Cue ball.
Q says, the water in Fort Bragg is typically about a 7 on the pH, so if a grower's looking for a 6.8 or, has a target, depending on your nutrients and what you want to do, you don't have to do a whole lot of pHing, but when they did talk about water and treatment and stuff, if I go to the public safety meeting, I have leftovers from a grow I took down across my driveway from a neighbor. He passed away. Had a garage grow, a rock throw from me, a stone's throw, and I picked up all his nutrients to recycle it in my garden, but I've got containers of pH up and pH down. So, well, here's a couple elements that you will see in a typical grow room. You'll also see a jug full of bone marrow, or there's some bloom type additives that, just like at your normal farm and garden shop, have like the 3 numbers for the nitrite, or I don't know nothing about nitrogen and all that stuff. I know that between my fish aquaponics garden, there's a difference between nitrates and nitrites, and the compost of having a worm bed changes the water after the plants use it to where the fish like it again. It's kind of a cycle. It's complex, and I hate science. I like fish and I like growing in aquaponics, but the science, I'm like, blah, 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 blah.
The word that on the street that I hear about the marijuana business, there are a lot of people sitting on a lot of weed right now.
That's true.
And that's going to affect the price sooner or later. That means that these people are living off of their savings. And sooner or later, somebody has to sell all of a sudden, and that's going to drop the price. And it's probably going to be everybody all at once. It'll be a price war.
Yeah. Well, I thought my days of wiring and doing electrical work for very large grows was over, and who knows, every time I finish a project or work for one of these confidential clients out in the middle of nowhere, I think this is probably going to be my last one because of the market. They're going to be shrinking, and I've actually taken quite a few of them apart that, the people own 3 parcels and decide we're going to shrink down to 1 for market reasons. Who knows? My phone might ring again. I know Fort Bragg Electric's done grow rooms, and North Coast Plumbing and Heating, NCR&E, Refrigeration Electric, they've done them. Some of these companies, they don't like to do them necessarily. The employees don't care. Here's the load, here's what you need to do, pull this wire. Those guys work by the hour, the boss gets a check, there's a bill, there's a bid. It's just work.
Well, dope was a great economic bridge when timber and fishing collapsed.
Well, and anybody that goes into the county office, they used to have a big black binder, and you could look at current permits while you're sitting there waiting in line. Now it's on a computer. But when I would get an electrical permit, for instance, and I was waiting in line, I would flip through all the electrical service changes. You have to have a county permit because the county inspector tags the panel before PG&E turns you on. Every roofer gets a permit for the most part because that's a high-profile thing where you could get caught without a permit because you're right on top of the roof. So you'll see Dunlap Roofing, for instance. You'll see Redwood Roofers. You'll see Fort Bragg Electric. What you don't see is all these Class K buildings being built. Then drive over to Rossi's and look at how many big 4x4 trucks are leaving with building materials.
Yeah.
And our city people think that tourism is the backbone of our community.
Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time. We're at 5:56. I see my broadcast clock says 5:59. It lies. Any closing comments then about the Community Foundation? This was fun. We kind of strayed a little, but
Well, this is not an attack on the foundation.
Well, we did some
Understand,
fact-checking.
This is not an attack on nonprofits in general or specifically. It is, however, a revelation on how nonprofit predators are the same as pedophiles in my book. And I'm not calling the people who are mismanaging the foundation predators or pedophiles, but you guys got to wake the hell up. The people who are running this place, and hold on a second.
if you could give money to a nonprofit that you feel is above board and legitimate, do you have any targets? I mean, I would say please donate to KNYO. The Novio Radio Project is be glad to take
I think
a
the
check.
food bank.
Okay, my mom would say the food bank too. She's a volunteer there.
These are the people on the board of the Community Foundation: Greg Nelson, Wynn Bowen, Paula Cohen, Judith Bailey, Gail Green, A.R. Buck Gantner, Katie Gibbs, Monty Hill, Jim King, Jim Paul, Orion Walker, and Kathy Wiley. All you guys got to take notice and clean this mess up. You can't
Kathy Wiley is with the Community Foundation?
Yeah, she's on the board.
I had her son play drums at KNYO once, do some live music.
Who's her son?
The Wiley kid. Anyway, his group is called Han Solo.
But you guys got to get your head out of the sand. You got to stop this outflow of money from Mendocino County.
Or change your bylaws. Change the bylaws that say we're going to send the money all over the place.
And be straight with your donors.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty legitimate, the whole being straight with the donor thing. And with that, I guess it's time to conclude. This is 107.7 KNYO-LP. Time is 5:58. And I just want to let you guys know, up next is the Wagner Variety Show officially. We've been goofing off here with another edition of what I like to call the Fort Bragg USA component of the show. The next hour is brought to you by Rhodes Auto Parts. In 1925, independent auto parts sellers met in Detroit to form the National Automotive Parts Association. All these years later, there are 58 distribution centers, 16,000 Napa Auto Care centers, and more than 6,000 independently owned and company-owned stores, just like Rhodes Auto Parts at 203 North Main Street in downtown Fort Bragg, with ASE-certified parts technicians at your fingertips at 964-5607. So go see Bruce Graves and the boys, and a couple girls too, and see what Napa Gold products they have in store for you. My news bumper. I like this old news music for some reason. Anyway, Wagner Variety Show is up next. I got the housekeeping out of the way. Thank you, Rhodes Auto Parts, as always, for being an underwriter. Later, I'll tell you guys about Piachi Pub and Pizzeria and Dunlap Roofing. I've got a rockin' show just for Andrew Jordan, one of my occasional show watchers here. Oh, geez. By the way, I just want to say, Lisa, Eric, Jay, Stephen, Christopher, Eric, Ruben, all you guys that tuned in earlier, I really appreciate that. You guys are a real gem. It's a pleasure. I never even looked at the webcam, so it's kind of interesting to see who actually tuned in there. Hi, everybody on the webcam. And I'm going to start off with REM because Andrew always requests REM. Here we go, KNYO. What did my sister
Judy
say?
has work for you, Chris.
Oh, okay.
She's got a PC that has a virus, she thinks.
Okay, I can fix that.
Okay.
Yeah.
My sister's a chemical engineer for the government. She just posted, I can explain the nitrite issue for you. I know she can. And I can look at it again on live. It's so funny, Mrs. Science, my sister's such a brain.
Yeah.
What was it that came up with the nanothermite particles around Trade 7, after 9/11?
All of the
Thermate and thermite.
Yeah,
They're completely
thermite
different.
is, well, it's like aluminum.
Right.
Some derivative of aluminum oxide that burns. I've seen demonstrations on YouTube where they put a little bit of it on the hood of a car and it burns through the hood, burns all the way through the engine block down to the ground.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah, just the kind of stuff you want to be carrying around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, real good explanation for that being found at World Trade Center.